Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our ENRICH in China webinar. Today's topic is are the China soft landing zones, how to successfully land in China, and we're going to get some insights into the co-working space opportunities offered by two soft landing zones, which were certified by ENRICH in China. On our next slide, I will just go through the agenda of today. After my short opening, we will hear about the business and innovation opportunities in Suzhou, hosted by the EU Sino business consulting company. Suzhou is a city about 1,200 kilometers southeast of Beijing, and we'll afterwards hear about the soft landing opportunities, the business and innovation opportunities in Shijiazhuang. Shijiazhuang is a city about 300 kilometers southwest of Beijing. And the third topic of today will be the upcoming activities of ENRICH in China. And on my last slide, I would like to introduce you the speakers of today. My name is Elita Zani-Stepanovic. I am Senior Project Manager at the Austrian Research Promotion Agency, and I am partner in ENRICH in China. So our first expert of today will be Frederic Derbaudrenghien. He's trading and business consultant at the EU Sino Business Consulting Suzhou in Xianzheng. And then we have Laura Rampazzo. She's International Project Director at the Beijing Software Enterprise Advisory Center in Beijing. And last but not least, my colleague Andrea Degen. She's Senior Research and Innovation Manager at the EU Relations in Zurich, and she's also a partner in ENRICH in China. So I'm very curious to hear about the interesting opportunities that our two soft landing zones are offering. So Frederic, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ellie. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can all hear you.
Okay, good. Fine. So welcome. I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction to my company. About myself, won't go too much into detail, but I've been in China for 10 years. We'll call it a multi-entrepreneur. But I'm also the vice president of Bencham since about 3 years. Bencham is the Benelux Chamber of Commerce in China. Okay, so let's go to the first slide, if I have access. Okay, so the content for today, we'll start with an introduction about Suzhou and EU Sino. Then we'll look at what we do, and we conclude with the value proposition. Okay, so first, so Jiangsu province. I think I just heard 1,200 kilometers from Beijing, but it's actually right next to Shanghai. Jiangsu province is basically surrounding Shanghai. It's quite an important province. It's actually the number 2 if you look at the GDP in China, the number 2 province. The old industries there are textiles, foods, chemicals, construction materials, machinery, electronics, automotive. But Suzhou, to some people who have been here already, is also famous for SIP. SIP, Suzhou Industrial Park, is actually one of the most successful parks in China. But actually now it's getting quite fully occupied. Okay, next slide. So within Jiangsu, we have then the city of Suzhou. This is the second city. The first is the capital, Nanjing. We are based specifically in Xiangcheng. Xiangcheng is the northern district of Suzhou. Xiangcheng developed a bit later than SIP, for example, but that makes that we still have the advantage that there's still a lot of enough space to develop, which is not the case in near to Suzhou. And also we can learn from the successes and the mistakes made by SIP. Xiangcheng is also still more affordable in land, in buildings, in real estate, let's say, but then also towards HR. There's about in Xiangcheng alone, there's about more than 20 industrial parks. but there's also specific parks on, for example, artificial intelligence, big data, and even a special park for startups in the biotech. The universities, can you still hear me? Because it's silent on the other side. Hello?
I can hear you, Frederic.
Okay, just checking. Good. So the universities are on the other side of Suzhou. We have good cooperation with, for example, the cooperation with the Liverpool University, with the Shijiazhuang University, but then also the Suzhou campus of the Renmin University of China. In Nanjing, you have the most famous, one of the most famous universities of China, the Nanjing University, but that's then in Nanjing. Okay. Now towards EU Sino. Our mission is to help European companies to grow in China more quickly and smoothly by being the link of trust between the government and the foreign businesses. We provide a wide range of business services. We have strong relations with, for sure, the Xiangcheng government, but also others, with European embassies and the chambers of commerce in China. We are a team of experienced and senior China specialists in a wide variety of fields and backgrounds, such as luxury, branding, aeronautics, law, venture capitalists, and so on. There's an operational team of about 8 people in the Suzhou office, and we have an advisory board of 10 sectorial specialists. We can help from the preparation till the landing, but doesn't stop there. We also help you take off and become successful in China. We don't do everything ourselves, but we have a close network of reliable third parties that can help us. Okay. We started only a bit more than a year ago. We have a lot of capacities and experience in our office. There's basically little that we can't do. Once you have been in China for 10, 20 years, like our GM has been there for 22 years in China. And so there's little that he can't help with. Still, the key remains, our key capacity is to be a link of trust between China and Europe in general, or the local government and the companies. Okay. We have developed through time into a specialist of finding location. There's actually few companies, neither the big consulting firms, neither the embassies, who have the available resources, government connections, or simply the knowledge to advise on where a company should land and why or how. But we do much more. So we connect with partners and eventually even with clients. We successfully attract capital for businesses via funds, venture VCs from our network. Sometimes it even works the way around. The local government or a company in Xiangcheng asks us to specifically search for certain company, eventually with certain technology, as an organization, or more recently, for example, we got a request to go out and search for international schools who want to set up business in Xiangcheng. Okay, the next slide. I hope you can still hear me. I'm just waiting for the next slide, but I'll continue. Meanwhile, hello. I'm not sure if you still hear me, but I continue. The next slide is actually about.
We're hearing you.
Okay.
We hear you very well, Frederic.
I just can't move the slides, so if you could help me with that, please.
Yeah,
the next slide is actually an example of one of the projects we did. It's Quant. Quant is a search engine from France. It's actually the biggest competitor to Google in Europe. That would be the previous slide about Quant. It's a very complicated case. It was quite easy to find them an office in the big data zone there in Xiangcheng. But that was easy. The biggest challenge was actually to get the company license, and that's actually still in process, because as you can imagine, it's a very sensitive matter for the central government. Google, Facebook, and so on, they are blocked in China. So we don't want this to happen to Quant. So through our connections, quite high-level connections in the ministries of cybersecurity and so on, we are close to getting the company to get the required licenses to operate in China, and then develop their business. So that was the slide about Quant. that's one project we do. Another example is an info team. I won't go into detail now, but info team, yeah, that was Quant. And now info team, the next slide is a German company specialized in software and consulting for Industry 4.0. A few of the other projects go into detail if you want. You can always contact me later. But each of the projects we work on, we always find some difficulties that we have to solve, either be it with IPR, intellectual property rights, safety, setting up a joint venture with eventually even the government that becomes a part of the investors. Okay. Going to the activities that EU-Sino does, there's a wide variety. So we actually work with the budget of the Shijiazhuang government the first year. So we do a lot of activities from, for example, delegations, visits from Europe, or eventually also outbound. So if one of the towns in Shijiazhuang wants to visit Europe, we also help them. We have signing ceremonies. We participate in fairs. For example, the World Mobile Conference, quite a famous one. One specific event I want to highlight here is the roundtables that we do. The roundtables is actually annexed to another greater event held by the Shijiazhuang government. They do every year a tour in China in the 3 major cities to promote their area. But we decided to make a separate event the day before the big event. The concept is that there's a panel of specialists that discusses 2 topics moderated by our GM. Briefly summarizing, in Beijing, we talked a lot about how organizations choose location. And there we concluded that actually it's very often almost a random choice. There's no procedure, and there's not even a specialized staff who is able to make the best choice. In Shanghai's event, we look deeper into that, but with a focus on operation sites, manufacturing industry. And there we realized that due to the fast pace of new regulations being thrown out by the central government, many companies don't know if after 2, 3, or 5 years, they will still be allowed to operate where they are. The second topic was how China's development zones differ from each other. We discussed, for example, how to interpret the many promises made, the different policies. And there's a lot of promises made by different zones, by development zones, industrial parks, but are they true or not? So we discussed that. Then finally in Shenzhen, not so long ago, a few weeks ago, we adapted the topics a little bit to the local situation. There's more for startups in the tech industry. We learned that indeed Shenzhen is the place to be for startups in the tech industry, but it also has its limitations for when companies want to scale up, for example, or develop the local markets in other areas in Shanghai or Beijing. So we've heard that a lot of the startups there, they have done quite well there and eventually with exporting, but then to develop the local market, they lack the experience. One reoccurring topic that we had in all 3 the roundtable events is the challenge of HR, finding enough talent and retaining them. Shenzhen, for example, has not only a huge supply of hardware to develop new products, but it also became a hub for international IT talents, a lot like Silicon Valley in the US. Other areas are not as lucky as Shenzhen, so you have to consider that. We see a great opportunity for professional education services. Many multinational companies, but also SMEs, they don't find enough talent and are looking for partners to develop professional formation so that they can not only efficiently form the required labor force, but also retain them with a continuous training. Okay, so good. That was the slide about our roundtables. Actually, about those roundtables, we've made a kind of a conclusion, and in the next weeks we will publish a white paper about that. Some of the conclusions we made are here on this slide. One, there is a mismatch between the available infrastructure and scale-up's future requirements. Many enabling technologies required to make faster advances in innovation, just like the central government is pushing, for example, for the Made in China 2025 objectives, And those enabling technologies are available with European startup companies, but often they don't reach China. Okay, the current business that's a slide. The current business environment is not conducive to attracting those startups. Why? Companies, they are still reluctant to put enough resources into China. Before, they always had the excuse of a lack of good IPR regulations. Still, we see that they prefer to move to North America, where they feel much more comfortable and safe. Another reason is that companies often make a decision based on a mix of outdated information and strong perception of China's complexity. So it's a bit up to us to explain them that China has changed and is now more hospitable to startups from outside of China. Companies coming to China are often also overwhelmed by the size of the market and have a hard time to find reliable advisors and partners. So that's why companies like EU Sino are important. We could summarize the requirements as follows. The location for landing with flexible services. They need to have a reliable network, for example, network to find business leads across the country, to find reliable partners, to find good talents, and so on. A trusted, reliable support system for services. I mean, basic services, because mainly small companies, they don't know how to do accounting in China, so they need to have reliable services for that. But also just good advisors. And then a final point, smart money to specifically fuel the China growth. Okay, now considering everything we have learned from those roundtables and basically the first year of operations we have done, if you can go to the next slide, we have, as an answer to all those questions, all those requirements, a new project, which I would like to highlight here a little bit. We haven't decided on the name yet. There you can see it's Startup Village, but it's actually Startup and Innovation Village. It's still a work in progress. We will create a village that links startups with established industries, create an ecosystem where as well the multinational benefit from, as well as the startup and the scale-ups. I won't go too much into detail, but you can see here the different blocks. So if you look at the bottom left, the co-working spaces, everybody knows them, but they have to be flexible and so that you're not stuck with them with added services. Co-working offices, desks are not enough. There also has to be space for growth, and that's then on the right side, the office rental, managed office rental, and so that larger offices are also available later on. On the top left, we see an innovation community that's targeted at all the organizations interested in innovation or in promoting innovation. Keeps track and build relationships with startups, organizations working for startups or organizations interested in startups. Basically, just one community that always is looking and talking together. Then, of course, together with that come the events. We need to have an event space, so that's all going to be into that innovation startup village. There have to be specific programs for startups and scale-ups, programs that we don't supply ourselves, but there are several players on the market that are for acceleration, market entry, and so on. Next point is the corporate innovation programs. That's more targeted towards the larger companies for building internal cooperation innovation program, but looking to outsource the management of that. So that's a request actually from the let's say the larger enterprises. So as I previously mentioned, there has to be a business service platform that's targeted at startups and scale-ups. Basic business services like accounting, HR administration, IT support, marketing services, research, social network promotion, and so on. And also hosting services. Hosting services means you don't always set up a company from day one that you start in China. Sometimes it's easy to have a 12 to 18 month period where you don't actually need a legal entity. And then the last one is very important, and it's what I mentioned about professional training. It has to be part of this community. Yeah. So if we put all that together, we feel that it can really be a very nice ecosystem with a lot of potential. You could say in Shenzhen you have that already, yeah, but Shenzhen is big, and what we want to create it in is one place in Suzhou, and we're actually looking at a old electricity plant that we could completely transform. It's about 60,000 square meters. Okay. Fine. So then the final slide, a bit as a conclusion, the value proposition of EU Sino. The different services that we offer, you can also look at our website, specifically for soft landing zone with ENRICH. You could say we have localization guidance, co-working space offers, administrative and secretariat support, advice on laws and regulations affecting also RDI related activities. And then, yeah, okay, this one I already said. So yeah, that's a bit it for me. Maybe I can just add to that that I'm actually here on a hotel room in Zhuhai. Zhuhai is completely in the south of China, because tomorrow I give here a presentation with the title Innovation and Location. It's actually a big conference around the Belt and Road Initiative, a very interesting initiative. That I'm sure that ENRICH is going to discuss more in the future. Voila, I think that's it. Unfortunately, because I have to go to the opening ceremony of that event, I won't be able to stay here after my presentation, so I won't be there for the Q&A session, but if you have any questions, feel free to contact me anytime. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frederic. Yes, a good point are the questions. So you can write us the questions. We can forward them to Frederic or contact him directly. So there will be also a follow-up if you were interested more in the soft landing zone. And yeah, there were a lot of challenges mentioned and the services that are offered. So a very good opportunity to think about this this city and this soft landing zone if you are interested in entering the Chinese market. The next soft landing zone will be presented by Laura Rampazzo. So Laura, the floor is yours, and we're very eager to hear about the services that your organization is offering.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you very much. Good morning or good afternoon to everybody. My name is Laura. I'm the project director in BACAC and Top View Group. I've been living in China for 8 years, and I've been working in Top View for around 4 years now. Today I'm here to present to you the services that our company can provide to European clients who want to enter the Chinese market or do business in China. Moving to my next slide, okay. Okay, so I would like to start with a short, brief introduction about our company. So from our side, we are a consulting company. BAC at Top View is a consulting company. Basically, what we do is to help European companies to enter the Chinese market. We are a leading event management company, so we organize conferences, EU-China international conferences, seminars. We organize B2B events, matchmaking events for European clients who want to expand their interest on the Chinese market, business and investment forums. For this kind of events, most of the time we work with European embassies in China. We work with trading agencies, Chamber of Commerces from Europe based here in China. We also participate in a lot of EU-funded projects. We have been taking part so far to 8 EU projects. And we are a professional advisor of market entry. So we help European companies who want to enter the Chinese market. They don't know what is the best way to follow, let's say. So we start with a market entry strategy research. We help them to promote their image on the Chinese market, and then we can also support in once the European company, let's say, have has found the main partners, potential partners. We also support to contact these partners. We take part to all the meetings with you. So it's full support. And we also take care of consulting in the technology transfer field. We are a team of around 20 people. BACAC and Top View, we have 3 locations. Our headquarters are in Beijing, but we do have a representative office in Shijiazhuang, our Hebei branch in Hebei province, and we recently also set up a branch in Germany, in Frankfurt. So also to be closer to our to the European companies we are helping to enter China and to find new business opportunities in China. Okay, moving to the next slide. Okay, if we can move to the other one again. We recently started implementing an Industry 4.0 project in Hebei, in Shijiazhuang. Basically, I'm not gonna talk about the whole project. I'm gonna focus on a specific session, which is the one that is linked to our certificate as ENRICH soft landing zone. This project is of recent implementation. First of all, we started it a few months ago in cooperation with the local government in Shijiazhuang. It's an Industry 4.0 project that aims to provide Hebei with a new smart manufacturing ecosystem. This project is divided into 4 modules. The first one is the science and technology. Then we have talent, business opportunity, and capital. I will not spend time in talking about the technical part, as it's an Industry 4.0 project, so it's related to a smart factory that we will build. For the talent, also it's related to Industry 4.0 education. What I would like to talk about is the part of the business opportunity, which is the reason, as I said, why we became a certified ENRICH soft landing zone. So moving to the next slide, the business opportunity consists in a building. This building is still under construction. It will be ready next year. And it's the Hebei EU-China Cooperation Center. The Hebei EU-China Cooperation Center mainly works as a business incubator for European companies who want to land their business in Shijiazhuang or in Hebei province. Moving to the next slide, I will show you a little bit what is inside this EU-China Cooperation Center. It's inside the building. We have around 8 floors. So this EU-China Cooperation Center will have EU-China Technology Transfer Center, an investment facilitation center, a soft landing zone and regional center. Then we will have also working space for some of our, let's say, business partners from Germany that help us, or that also to develop our Industry 4.0 project, and also representative offices for trading agencies, Chamber of Commerce that we have been cooperating with since the foundation of the company in 1999. Then last but not least, we will provide also, there would be some international apartments for the companies that will move in this EU-China Cooperation Center so that they could live there, hotels for business partners that are maybe coming for visit, and a CEO club for the management level of the companies, European companies that can move to our cooperation center. Moving to the next slide, I would like to say a little bit more about the Technology Transfer Center. So there is going to be a Technology Transfer Center so that if a European company, for instance, is moving to our cooperation center and has a technology that they want to sell to the Chinese market, we will fully support them, not only in find the most suitable partner, but in during the whole process until the technologies are successfully transferred in China. So there will be an entrance with a demonstration board where anybody who comes will be able to view all the technologies, European technologies. And then we will also have some specific equipment that will help us to show these technologies so that potential partners can not only let's say see the technologies, but they can also use them and they can fully understand. And this includes facilities like VR support, showcase rooms, for example, for robotics technologies, laboratories, and then we will have, of course, also our branch from Top View that will support you with all the services we're talking about. Moving to the next slide. Another important part of this EU-China Cooperation Center is the EU-China Investment Facilitation Center. Basically, this is an entity that will help all the European companies moving here to find more potential partners and expand their business in China. We will have a multifunctional event hall and then different small or bigger conference rooms that are to be shared for all the companies that are in the EU-China Cooperation Center. And we will use them to host matchmaking events, B2B, and all these kind of events that can help European companies to find more Chinese counterparts for their business. Moving to the next slide. Thank you. The soft landing center. This is one, I would say, of the most important parts, especially related to ENRICH. We will have what we call a one-stop service office. Here in China, when we talk about one-stop service office, we mean basically when you have to set up a company in China, there are many things you need to do from an administrative level to a financial one. So this one-stop service office offers all the services that you need in order to set up a company in China. They are provided in the same place. So basically, you don't have to, let's say, run around. You don't end up running around in many different places to get from the business license of the company to legal advice. Everything is in this office. So in this way, a European company that decides to set up a company in China is fully tutored, fully covered. Then, of course, we will have co-working space, shared meeting rooms, and relaxation and fitness area. Moving to the next slide. To sum up a little bit, what are the services that we can provide? And I would like to make a short specification. Let's say, as I said, this Hebei EU-China Cooperation Center is still under construction. It will be ready from next year. But this doesn't mean that right now we are not able to offer any service, because actually we are a consulting company. So what we do since 1999 is to help European companies to enter the Chinese market. We do it through also the support of many different organizations like the European Union, Chamber of Commerce's, embassies. So all these soft landing services for now can be provided from our Beijing headquarters. And then once the EU-China Cooperation Center will be ready, there will be also the possibility to have these services for Hebei, plus the possibility for the company to move to our EU-China Cooperation Center and receive all those soft landing services we've just mentioned on site. Main services, so domestic market research, assistance with import-export laws, technology transfer assistance. If you need help in introducing your technology to the Chinese market, we can support you in doing that. We can help you negotiating the conditions with all the Chinese counterparts, and we will support you until the end of the transfer itself. Introduction to Chinese key players from governmental side. That's because for most of our international projects, we work with the support of the Chinese government, like, for example, our Industry 4.0 project in Hebei that includes this, the creation of this business incubator. This project is supported directly by the local government of Shijiazhuang, so we can also help you to connect with the local government. Then support for follow-up meetings with potential partners, IPR briefing, finance briefing, event organization like business matchmaking events and so on, and visa support. Okay, moving to the next slide and last part of my presentation, few information about Shijiazhuang. Well, first of all, Shijiazhuang is the capital of Hebei province. Is located in the middle south of Hebei province, and it's located in a very crucial and strategic zone, as it's very close both from Beijing and Tianjin. It's actually 1 hour more or less by train. Shijiazhuang includes 8 districts and 13 counties. Shijiazhuang has already 2 national development zones. The first one is the Shijiazhuang High-Tech Industrial Development Zone and Shijiazhuang Economic and Technological Development Zone. Shijiazhuang has a population of around 11 million people, according to the ratings at the end of 2017. Moving to the next slide, to give you a little bit of an overview of what are concretely the business opportunities for European companies, why European companies should move to Shijiazhuang. Well, the main reason is because the government recently started, the local government in Shijiazhuang, in cooperation with the investment bureau of Shijiazhuang, recently started a 4+4 industry development pattern. So Shijiazhuang is now focusing most of its investment in 8 industries. The first 4 industries are new industries, and the other 4 below are, let's say, industry that they have started the development while ago, but they will increase more. So mainly the investment is going to be focused on these main 8 areas. The first one, moving to the next slide, the first industry is the new generation of info technologies. The Shijiazhuang government is about to invest according to the plan that was released by the investment bureau in Shijiazhuang. In the next 5 years, the local government will invest 15 billion renminbi in new generation of info technologies to accelerate the development of the industry. Last year, in 2017, the annual income coming from industry of new generation of info technologies was around almost 44 billion yuan. We have at the moment 101 enterprises working in this industry and 89 innovation platforms. At the moment, according to the plan of the local government, the main fields for international cooperation within new generation of info technologies are satellite navigation, optoelectronic industry, fiber optic network, and flat display screens, IoT, large data, cloud computing, and so on. The second industry moving to the next slide, is going to be biomedicine and health. Well, first of all, Shijiazhuang is a state industry base for biomedicine in China. Last year, the biomedicine and health industry brought an income of around 75 billion yuan. And Shijiazhuang was also chosen recently as pilot city to become the first national high-end biomedicine region. So actually, biomedicine and health is among the strongest industries in Shijiazhuang. The local government plans to invest around 18 billion over the next 5 years to develop the industry. And the main areas for international cooperation, so for cooperation with Europe, are innovative medicines for major diseases, genetic engineering, research and development for new medicines, healthy nutrition, auxiliary equipment for elderly care and recovery, medical supplies, and hygiene materials. Moving to the third industry of the 4+4 investment plan of the Shijiazhuang government, we have advanced equipment manufacturing. About advanced equipment manufacturing, we have at the moment around 620 enterprises in Shijiazhuang working in these industries, and the income last year was of 182 almost billion yuan. The government is planning to invest in the next 5 years around 20 billion yuan, and for this area, the main fields for international cooperation with Europe are general aviation, rail traffic, new energy vehicles, and smart manufacturing. Fourth industry, moving to the other slide, is commercial and trade logistics. Well, first of all, Shijiazhuang is a modern commercial logistic industry base with very important distribution functions in North China. And the government plans to invest 20 billion yuan over the next 5 years to develop more these industries. Number 5, moving to the other slide, is energy conservation and environment protection. This industry field in 2017 gave the city an income of 32 billion yuan. We have at the moment around 180 companies working in this field in Shijiazhuang. For example, we have Sail Hero Environmental Protection, that is a leading company. It's a company based in Shijiazhuang, and it's definitely one of the leading company on a national level for air pollution. Within this field, in the next 5 years, the government is about to invest around 12 billion. The main, let's say, the main areas of cooperation opportunities with Europe are energy-saving technologies and equipment, pollution control, treatment equipment for pollutants, and energy-saving technology promotion service. Number 6, moving to the next slide, is finance. In 2017, the added value of the financial industry in Shijiazhuang reached 49.3 billion yuan. Shijiazhuang has a complex and wide financial system. We have around 21 investment firms, 66 provincial branches of national insurance companies, 78 venture capital institutions, and almost 500 equity funds and fund management companies, and around 200 almost companies that are listed in the stock market. Also, the Financial Street Holdings in Shijiazhuang has invested around 15 billion yuan to create recently a high-end business and financial district in Shijiazhuang as well. Another industry that will be strongly supported by the government in Shijiazhuang, and that for which, let's say, cooperation with Europe is highly welcomed by the local government, is science and technology services and cultural creativity. Shijiazhuang is the only national animation industry development base in Hebei, and they are planning to invest around $5 billion in the next 5 years in this field. Last but not least, the last industry, moving to the next slide, that is going to be highly developed in the next year by the government, is tourism. In 2017, more than 100 million visitors went to Shijiazhuang, and the government is to invest around $10 billion over the next 5 years to develop more tourism as well. Main areas of cooperation with Europe, if your company is working in this field, are tourist development and resources conservation, infrastructure and service facilities construction management, camp and healthcare-based construction and management, and development of tourist products. So this is just, and I think that was the last slide of my presentation. This was just to give you, yes, also in Shijiazhuang, there are a lot of provincial development zones, industry parks, science parks. So this just to make everybody understand that Shijiazhuang is indeed a good location for European companies who are planning to expand their business in China. Also because there is strong support by the local side. And well, if you have any question, I'm gonna be here for the Q&A, so you can feel free to ask anything. As I said, our project in Hebei is still under construction. Hopefully next year it will be open. But for other kind of soft landing services, that can be, let's say, we can provide you right away from our Beijing headquarters and our German one as well. So that was about it for my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Laura, for this interesting insights into this region, a very promising area and very high potential and a wide range of cooperation possibilities that I see here. So as Laura said, you can write your questions in the questions area of this webinar tool. We get back to them in the Q&A session a little bit later. Now we turn to Andrea Degen, who is going to present us the upcoming activities of ENRICH in China. Thank you, Andrea, in advance.
Thank you very much, Ellie. I also welcome all the participants from all European countries, also China. We are based in Zurich, and I say good morning. That's why it's morning here in Zurich. I give you just a brief overview on the activity of our network. So the ENRICH in China network, as a part of a European global network of centers and hubs, are actively promoting the internationalization of European science, technology, and innovation. Therefore, we are not only offering access to infrastructure, co-working space, and a lot of help. We also try to mobilize and integrate existing service providers. You can see on this slide the services we can provide as an integrating network ENRICH in China. It's a set of services like RDI consultancy and coaching, RDI intelligence, soft landing and co-working, fostering open innovation through trainings, cooperation, enabling events, and RDI briefings. So that's the goal, to provide all these services on a very high level and targeted to clients interested in collaborating with China. So recent past activities were, as all our activities aim at setting up collaborations with existing infrastructures and service providers, as well as promoting at the same time our ENRICH work and network. We have been taking part at the, for example, Global Summit on Development and Cooperation in STI in China. This was an ideal platform to promote ENRICH with more than 120 participants, and what was very special about the event was the discussion about funding for SMEs and startups, so financing, and there a lot of knowledge needs to be gathered and promoted afterwards also by our network. For example, also covering the intellectual property mortgage loan and joint funding, so new approaches, new models of financing for rather the private industry. Next slide, please. As well, another very good event was the University Industry Interaction Conference in London. So we also promoted ENRICH in Europe and had the first workshops. I will come back to this because the workshop, so training, is a very important part, and we start now to establish trainings according to the needs of the STI community. And a workshop was also held in Porto in June this year. Next slide is showing the signature of another memorandum of understanding. As you know, it's very important to establish and integrate existing networks to sign MOU. This is what we are actively doing right now in Switzerland, in China. And this was at the Shijiazhuang National High Tech Development Zone. And a next event was actually organized by the help also of our partner Innovation Norway. So all the Nordic countries met in China in the frame of sustainable city development, and ENRICH was promoted there at the forum, with a lot of northern countries being present there with their representatives. What about future activities? The future activities are on the one hand, again, for now to become active, to not just promote, but also come up with substantial knowledge provided to the stakeholders in Europe, but then also in China, about how to collaborate. And therefore, we have a workshop to offer, strategy towards China. So this is, let's say, a start of a series of workshops to shift knowledge. We can already have the next slide. What type of knowledge, actually, what is the content of the workshop? You can see here, it's introduction into China, but also what we could see in previous workshops we organized. It is also needed to explain the European Union, not just the Chinese side. So there is the European Union is also a very young undertaking, and to understand S&T policies, historical backgrounds, etc., from both sides, China and EU, will rather the content of our future workshops, where we will, what you see in red here, come up with cases, use cases from businesses and from universities. So our organization, for example, our Research and Innovation Management Agency in Zurich, we are rather working with universities, helping with the fundraising, setting up projects, international collaborations, and so on. We'll come up with our own cases where we could show how we step-by-step set up these. Could be bilateral cooperations with universities, but then also setting up research programs or joint labs with universities, also doing or setting up national, bilateral or multilateral initiatives. And then also from the business side, what we will shift in terms of knowledge on the first day. So the first day, the 1st October, will be targeted to the businesses, and the second, the 5th October, will be targeted to academic structures. And they can learn from other cases, and we constantly connect within the ENRICH network the cases in the next forthcoming months and weeks to shift this knowledge towards the research and innovation community in Europe. And you can book our trainings, you can have these trainings. It's not just the 2 training days, but it's also what you can see here, the event, cocktail, cinema events in the evenings. So we got the license from 2 film producers to show films all around the European-Chinese cooperation, like the Bird's Nest. You maybe know the Bird's Nest, the Olympic Stadium in Beijing. How about the construction of the Bird's Nest? How about this cooperation? How did it came up? How it developed? How it became successful? We'll show this film on the first evening, and on the second evening, we'll show the film The Other Half of the Sky, stories of Chinese business women managing, or they successfully managed this transformation of being in the former China and now in modern China, becoming very active in doing business or work in different fields. So we will also at these 2 workshops have or discuss how we can set up the ENRICH Women Network. There is foreseen to have a special women's club or women network all around the ENRICH initiative. And as said, you cannot just come or become part. We ask you, please, next slide, to actively promote these 2 workshops in your networks, because also as universities or as other networks, we could come up front, as said, and have these 2 workshop days with these films on site at your organization. But then we also offer the next matchmaking event to Suzhou, Wuxi, and Shenzhen in November this year. There, it's kind of like a follow-up after our workshops. We try to attract people to join the matchmaking events. Matchmaking events saying, like, we bring them to China, bring them to have a look at all our soft landing centers, our cooperation partners, and get connected to the right people, helping to successfully work in China with Europeans, and later on also in the other way around. So this was already, let's say, our presentation of our ongoing activities. So these are the 2 workshops, and also, or sorry, the workshop in Brussels. The workshop you can also have upfront at your organization. Please provide us with the dates and the possibilities of your infrastructure, rooms, etc. Then we bring the rest, the speakers, etc., and can offer you this training on site. And then also please motivate people in your network to take part to the mission, to the matchmaking tour or innovation tour to China in November. Possibly organize a workshop before November on site, and then we can already select the people and send them to the right places, counterparts in China. So I say thank you very much. You get here again our address. Book your or promote workshops or the innovation tour now. Please help us to promote and help us to make ENRICH become a real enriching network in the science, technology, and innovation society in China and Europe. So you heard my clock. I'm from Switzerland. Maybe you know the clock watches from Switzerland. They're very punctual. I only took 10 minutes, and say very much thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Andrea, also for keeping the time and all the interesting information and the upcoming events of ENRICH in China. So very punctually, we're starting our questions and answers session. And indeed, there have been some questions, mainly, I think, for Laura. There was the question about the target group of your soft landing zone. Is it also providing services for newcomers who don't have customers, who don't have contacts in China, and who want really as newcomers to enter the Chinese market? Laura, could you give you a little bit insight?
Yes.
I think
that's a very good question. That's a very good question. We do not, well, first of all, I know that this EU-China Cooperation Center will be created within an Industry 4.0 project, but what I want to specify is that we do not welcome only companies that are related to smart manufacturing, artificial intelligence. So any company basically in any industry field who wants to explore new business opportunities in Shijiazhuang is more than welcome to join. And of course, we offer our service also, as I said, here from Beijing, not only to companies that already have a lot of, let's say, big business, but even for new starters. Absolutely, yes. There is no limitation.
Thank you, Laura. And there was also the question of thematically oriented, as you already mentioned, needed services like in energy technology. So you would also provide for newcomers the contacts in these fields, the counterparts, and organize all the needed
yes.
infrastructure.
Correct. Yes.
Good. Yes, I don't see any further question here in the system. So
There is, Ellie, forgive me, there is one
Yes.
last thing that I wanted to mention. I forgot, but I think it might be interesting for some of our European participants. The Shijiazhuang government is about to organize next month the 2018 International Fair for Investment and Cooperation. It's going to be from October 18 to October 20. And it will include also some B2B matchmaking sessions within 3 main fields. The first one is biomedicine and health. The second one is new generation of info technologies. And the third one is intelligent manufacturing and artificial intelligence. So if there is any European company within these 3 fields, or maybe also other fields, and they want to take part to the conference, and because we will do different parallel forums, you can feel free to contact me, and you can discuss this with our company, and we will help you to inscribe.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you very much. I see one small question still for you here. What about universities, academia? Can they also be reached through your soft landing zones? I think you mentioned some universities, but are they also in your portfolio, let's say?
Yes, we do cooperate also with educational institutions. We do. For example, within our Industry 4.0 project, one of the modules was talent. And that's because we are not only providing the city with smart manufacturing, Industry 4.0 smart manufacturing, but we're also helping the government to expand the educational system in Shijiazhuang. So with new joint education programs, joint degrees, Shijiazhuang is looking also for new partners to do joint schools or joint universities. So absolutely, this is also a possibility.
Very good. Thank you so much, Laura. So I don't see any question here which we did not answer. We are perfectly also in time. If you want to contact us, you have our contact data here. If you want to ask Laura still something, you can either contact us or directly Laura to get into contact and to see what services would suit you best. And yeah, finally, I want to thank you for your participation, for your actively asking questions, and hope to welcome you again in one of our next webinars. Thank you very much to the speakers, to the experts, and have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Bye bye.